All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Qualtrics session, the first one of the 2013-2014 academic year. My name is Dr. Joseph Cronin. I am the Assistant Director of the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs.
I'm Randy Hanson. I work in the Center for Professional Development across the hall. I work with the administrators.
For the Qualtrics program here. Our two offices have teamed up over the past 5 to 6 years now, bringing the Qualtrics Research Suite to the Kane community. And what we typically do is a series of workshops. We do 2 a month, focusing on the program, how it works, and going over the core basic features of the program, getting its users able to use it. A couple things about today's presentation that I want to bring to your attention. I have all this extra gear on. I will not be singing nor dancing this morning for you. I will not be subjecting you to that horror show. Instead, what we're going to be doing is for our friends in China, we can say ni hao to our friends in China. We're going to be recording this so that they could get some use out of it as well. Also, you'll see in front of you computers. Here's the deal. The workshop is not set up or designed for it to be a follow-along session. That is, the way we have the workshop set up, it's set up for the next hour and a half. We're going to go over some of the core basics with you, but it's not set up for you to sort of follow along as we go along, because I feel like what would happen if we did that is we would only get to maybe a quarter of what it is that we want to cover this morning. So I ask that you kindly refrain from attempting to follow along, because there will be parts where there's going to be a gap. You'll see after you sign up for an account, there may be a slight delay, and I don't want anybody to fall too far behind with us this morning. What I'm going to do to start off today is just going over the intro to the Qualtrics program, and we're really going to cover 4 basic features of the program: creating an account, creating surveys, distributing your surveys, and then last but not least, how do you look at your results? So we're going to try to jam a lot into the next hour and a half. So with that said, let's go into the program and let's talk about Qualtrics for just a second. Qualtrics is an online research suite. How many of you have ever taken a survey online? Just about everybody in the room. Okay, so what that means is that everybody has some sort of familiarity with online surveys. Qualtrics is designed and set up to be an online program. It's very easy to use. If you've ever surfed the net or bought anything on Amazon or read email online, you can use this program. Like I said, it's designed to be very user-friendly. You do not need to do the core basics that I'm going to cover today. You do not need any programming knowledge or any programming basics. Everything is on the screen for you. So what I want to do for you today first is start off by showing you how to sign up for an account or how to create your account in Qualtrics. It's very easy to do. We actually have a handout about it that Randy's going to pass around the room for you. The first thing you need to do is direct your web browser to ku.qualtrics.com. The reason why you need to direct your web browser to ku.qualtrics.com is because this is the exclusive Kane website for the program. So when you direct your web browser to ku.qualtrics.com, you will see the Qualtrics sign-in page with the Kane logo at the top. There, about halfway down the page, you'll see a thick gray bar, and in that gray bar, you will see a link that says, "Please click here to create an account." So first-time users, you're going to follow that link. After you click that link, what you're going to see is a series of questions. The first question is going to be asking for your email address. You have to enter in your Kane email address into that box. You cannot use a Yahoo, you cannot use a Google, you cannot use Gmail. Has to end in kane.edu. Next, it's going to ask you for a password. This can be any password of your own creation. The most frequently asked question Randy and I get about this phase is, can I use my network password at Kane? That's fine, though personally we probably advise you to try to use something different. You're not going to want to use overlapping passwords. Next, after you've entered your password and retyped it, you should see the green checks. If you don't have green checks at all three of those boxes, it means that either you're using an unacceptable email address, or something is up with your password. Either when you went to type it the first time, it does not match the retyped password. Next is going to... This is why we ask people not to follow along with us on screen, because what's going to happen is we're going to get derailed now and we're going to lose. Yeah. If you guys want to stick around after the session, I'd be more than willing to sit down with you and make sure that you guys get everything signed in correctly. All right, so after you go ahead and click Get Started, then it's going to ask you for your first name, last name, and phone number. These fields are all optional, but we do ask that people enter them in only so that we can get a feel for who actually is using the program here on campus. And click Finish. The last thing it's going to ask you for is your access code. What you're going to need to enter in here is actually on the handout that Randy passed around. You're going to enter the following key system: lowercase a, capital D, lowercase I, capital F, and capital Y. And then select Go. Now what's going to happen for you when you sign in, when you create your account, whatever email address you entered in as your username, you will get a bounced email sent directly to that address. The email will just be a direct email from Qualtrics asking you to verify or turn on your account. There will be a link embedded within that email. To activate or turn on your account, you have to click that email. You have to click that link, and in essence, it'll ask you again for your username and password. It'll then, entering your username and password will then turn on your account. All right, so that's how you create an account with the system. Like I said, follow the handout, follow the instructions on the handout. It should help you. If anybody needs help after the session, I'd be willing to sit down, spend a couple quick minutes with you to help you get your account set up. All right, let's move on to the next portion, which is how to actually use the program and after you have your account set up. So after you have your account set up and after you log in for the first time, you're going to come to the My Surveys page. You're going to log in by going to the ku.qualtrics.com page, entering your username and password, and then after you enter that information in, you're going to come here to the My Surveys page. The My Surveys is your home page for the Qualtrics program. This is the page from which you can do everything you need to in the system. Let me show you for a couple minutes here how the My Surveys page is laid out and what the My Surveys page has to offer you. The My Surveys page has a listing of every single survey that you currently have active in the system. So anything that you've created in Qualtrics is available from your My Surveys page. Let me show you again for a second how the surveys are laid out. So here you have, it's a listing of every single survey that you currently have, that either you have opened or somebody has shared or collaborated with you. One of the things about the Qualtrics program is that it allows its users to share or collaborate surveys. So if I'm working on a survey, for example, with Chris, we both have Qualtrics accounts, I can share my survey with him. So listing here, we have something like, Randy chime in here, but how many surveys do you think this account has by now?
I guess about 75.
So all 75 surveys are listed out here for you. Lost connection. All right, so let me show you. I was showing you about the 75 surveys that we have created so far. Off here to the right-hand side, you'll see, if you see on the screen here, under the column labeled Tasks, you'll see a series of features that you can do with your surveys. For example, once you have the survey open, you can go in and edit it. You can look at results. You can distribute the survey. You can view it in safe mode. You can collaborate. You can make a copy. You can translate into other languages, or you can delete or remove your survey. I want to talk about a couple of these features that are on the screen here real quick. The first thing is a collaborate function. I talked about this a couple minutes ago. If I wanted to, as long as the person has a Kane Qualtrics account, you can share or collaborate your survey with them. I find this is very useful for people collaborating within academic departments. If you're working together on a project, working on a Qualtrics survey, you can share your survey with them. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is the delete button. And I think this is an important feature to know. With the delete button, this function removes the survey entirely from the system. So be very careful which surveys you choose to delete, because once it's deleted, it's, I don't want to say impossible to get back, because you can get it back, but it's very, very, very difficult. There was a case a few years ago. That's why I want to bring up the collaborate and the delete button, the delete icons together. There was a case a few years ago where somebody ended up collaborating their survey with the entire Kane community. That is, anybody who had a Qualtrics account had access to this person's survey. The person also gave whoever they shared it with the option to delete it. So at the time, they shared it with a couple hundred users. Lo and behold, they shared it with somebody on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, it was deleted. They had 97 completes gone. There is a happy ending to this story. If something should happen, like you accidentally share it with other users that you don't want it to be shared with, and it gets deleted, what you need to do is contact Qualtrics customer service. On the handout that Randy gave you, there is a contact number on the back of the page there for Qualtrics contact service. You need to reach out to them, contact them directly, and explain to them what happened. They have been very helpful in the past in helping our users with issues. They are a we are a client of theirs, which means that we pay a service to have this, we pay a fee to have this service provided to the campus. If you have any technical problems like this, you can always contact Randy or myself, but your best bet in cases like this is to contact the company directly. Likewise, if you ever need to contact the company for questions, if you have any general questions that Randy and I, for whatever reason, aren't able to answer, feel free to contact the company directly. If you have a less than satisfactory customer service experience, please let one of us know. We want to make sure that our users are having a good customer service experience when they go to Qualtrics. Because like I said a couple minutes ago, we are paying for this product. All right, so that's how the My Surveys page is laid out. Just to give you an example, let me scroll down because we have 75 surveys here just to show you. And you can show all surveys. Likewise, if anybody has shared surveys with you, they will show up here in your account. You'll see, for example, surveys here that somebody shared with the, I shared surveys with this account, Randy has shared surveys with this account, and they are all laid out here. At the end of the session, what I'm going to do is, after we create today's survey, we're going to go ahead and collaborate it and share it with some other users. I will show you at the end how to collaborate and share your surveys. All right, any questions about the My Surveys page? A couple other things before I go into create a survey that I want to show you real quick about My Surveys. Qualtrics does not, if they're making any changes, any upgrades to the system, they typically don't contact you via email, which I think is one of the pluses of this system. They actually are pretty good about not spamming their users. Instead, what they do is here on your My Surveys page, you will see a little icon that says Message Center. If you click on that icon, it'll take you to your own private message board for the system. Anytime Qualtrics does an update or an upgrade, they will post a message here on the Message Center to let you know what those changes will be. And they've actually, over the course of the past few months, they've done quite a few upgrades or changes. Just to click on this, for example, just to show you, if you click on one of the messages, it'll show you what the changes are and how it impacts you as a user. So for example, new features that they implemented back on July the 30th. There's a loop and merge pipe text, loop and merge display logic, loop and merge progress bar improvements. They also go over some other features as well. And they have a new features page laid out for you at the bottom that they link to. If you want to get more information about any of the new features, how to use it, how you can incorporate it into your work, there's a link there. If you click on the new features page, it'll take you to the page that describes everything in detail. Go back to the inbox for a minute. All right, so like I said, they lay everything out for you. Also, if you go to the My Surveys page, anytime there's an upgrade or new features, they also post them here on your My Surveys page. So you see this little yellow box that pops up that shows the latest features that they've added. And they update this on a fairly rolling basis. One of the things you should know about the Qualtrics program is that if the program doesn't do something that you think it should do or you think it might have the capability to do, it's always a good idea to let the company know. This has happened before in the past. A lot of the new innovations or a lot of the upgrades that they impose are because users have recommended them. And if enough people recommend something, odds are if you're sitting here in Union, New Jersey thinking about an upgrade, Qualtrics is a global company. People all over the globe are using this product. Odds are somebody in another country, in another school somewhere, or even in the same state might be thinking about, can the product do this for you as well? So it's always good in this case to let the company know. That's where, again, the customer service information, the email addresses, the websites that are listed on the back come in handy. All right, let's jump into the second thing I want to show you today, which is how to create a survey in the program. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a survey from scratch. I'm going to show you some of the different features that the product has in terms of things that will help you write questions, write strong or even better questions in Qualtrics. So to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to create a survey. In Qualtrics, you'll find there are a couple different ways to do things. Sort of the whole homage goes, there are a couple different ways to skin a cat. I apologize to any animal lovers in the room, but I think that's a kind of an appropriate description. There are a couple different ways to do stuff in the program. To create a survey, there are two different ways you can get to the Create Survey function. There's a tab here at the top of the page that you can click on, or there's a little Create Survey icon. Either or will take you to the same page. Create Survey, you have three different options from which you can create your survey. There's the Quick Survey Builder, which is what we're going to employ today. Then there's two other options. There's the Create from Copy and the Survey Library. I want to talk about both of these for a second because they both help you accomplish the same thing. Let's talk about the Survey Library for a second. If you click on the Survey Library icon, what it shows you is it allows you to select, you have access to 3 different libraries using the Qualtrics program. You have your own personal library, which is just a collection of every survey or questionnaire that you've ever written or developed using the program. The second library you have access to is the Kane University Library, which for right now is empty, as far as I know. We had some stuff up there now. Randy's in the process of getting some more surveys or questionnaires updated for you. The third library you have access to is the Qualtrics library. Qualtrics has made some surveys, some questionnaires available for its users. You can go in, you can download these. There's no fee, there's no cost associated. When we're inside the survey builder in a couple minutes, I'll show you in more detail what each of those libraries look like and what your access to them looks like, because with the Qualtrics library, They're constantly updating it. There was a period of time when we had full access to the Qualtrics library, and then they basically took it away from all their users for some reason. Then they put it back a few months ago, and they changed it around a little bit. So they tend to vary these things off and on. That's the survey library. Next is the create from copy. The create from copy function allows you to download a new copy of a pre-existing survey. It'll download it for you as a new survey, so any changes you make won't be made to the library copy. You'll be getting a fresh new copy of it. This is helpful if you have annual assessment reports, annual surveys that you send out. This is a good function to have because, again, it'll allow you to pretty much duplicate you won't have to duplicate your work year after year. Download a fresh copy, make new changes, and you're good to go. And last but not least, the quick survey builder. The quick survey builder, the first step you need to do, you need to name your survey. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and just name this with today's date. September 17th survey. For right now, don't worry about folder. Just leave that blank and click on Create Survey. What it's going to do, it's going to download a blank survey template for us. The blank survey template is, right now, it's a complete blank survey page. In the center of the page, we have two options. The first option is on the left-hand side, the clear box that says Copy Items From. If you click on that, it's going to take you to the library option. We're not going to do that right now. Instead, we're going to click on the green button first. It says Create a New Item. That's where we're going to start. And what it does for us, it downloads for us a blank survey template, which is what they view is the most popular question type, which is the multiple choice item with 3 response options. What I want to show you first is how to create a multiple choice question and what some of the functions are with that option. So, with the multiple choice option, like I said, this is the most popular choice. You have a variety of things that you can do with multiple choice options here. What I'm going to show you is really how you can manipulate the multiple choice and what some of these other options are. So to start with, you always start off with 3 response options for some reason. I don't understand why. I think that's, according to them, that's the most popular one. If you wanted to add more response options, it's very easy. You really can't see it on the screen right now because the screen is a little washed out color-wise. But when you're logged into Qualtrics, what you'll see is this is going to be your active or live question. It's going to be shaded in like this sort of light gray tone to it. On the right-hand side, under this column, is also going to be shaded in the same color tone. That's going to tell you that those are the options for that question. So any changes you need to make to the question, you can make it by using the options that appear on this right-hand column. So here, if you want to add response options, you can do that by just clicking the plus sign here or clicking the minus sign to take them away. If you wanted to do automatic choices, you can do that as well. If you wanted the program to sort of populate the survey options for you. So if you click on automatic choices for a minute, and if you pull down the menu here, you'll see a listing here of all the different automatic options, all the different scale options that they could throw in there for you. They sort of create automatic Likert scales for you. You can do disagree to agree. You can do satisfied, dissatisfied, appropriate, inappropriate. For the option that for the example we're going to use, we're not going to implement the automatic choices now, but I just wanted to show them for you that they are there, and they might make your life a little bit easier later on if you're looking for scale types to work with. Next thing to show you here that you have the option to is you can either lay these out as vertical or horizontal. And if you click the More option here, you can also do the column option as well. And you can tell the program how many columns you want. Next, under validation options, you have the choice of doing either a force response or a request response. With the validation options, what this does is it turns on a feature in the program that requires respondents to give an answer before they move on to the next question. So what the validation option will do here is it'll force the hand of your respondents to give an answer. You can either turn on the force or the request. The force, and I'm actually going to turn both on for you today. The force you'll see first tells the respondents in no uncertain terms that they have to answer a question before they go on. They cannot. You'll see the big bright red lettering appear on screen. The request response is a little bit more gentle. What will happen is if you turn on the request response, you'll see instead of that force, you have to respond before you go on, a little pop-up window will appear, and it kind of gently says, you have to answer this question before you, please answer this question before you move on. Or, you left this question blank, would you like to answer this? So it gently reminds them that they left an answer blank. With the force response, again, it's forcing them to give a response. With the request response, it's not forcing them. They can still skip the question if they want to. It's just a gentle reminder. All right, so those are some of the features that you have with the multiple choice question. What we're going to do for our first question type here is I'm actually going to just use a question that we've used in sessions past, which is what type / manufacturer of car do you drive? Sort of a simple low-ball question. Then what we're going to have here for our multiple choice answers are different types of car manufacturers. So let's throw in about 3 or 4 here. Let's start off with Toyota. Let's do Honda. Let's do GM. And let's do Ford. All right, so we have 4 in there. We're going to add a 4th response. We're going to add a 5th response option. I'm going to click Enter. When you're actually, that's the other way of adding response options to your field. After you enter in the last one, if you click Enter, it'll add a new one in for you. So we have 4 in there right now. I'm going to click Enter. And the 5th one shows up, choice 5. For choice 5, though, instead of typing in every possible car manufacturer, we don't want our list to be that long. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to have them create an Other Specify option. The Other Specify option allows participants to enter in their own answer here if their answer doesn't appear on in the list of items previously mentioned. So what we're going to do here, to do the Other Specify, is we're going to go ahead and type in the box Other, and then put in parentheses Specify. Specify below. And after we type that in, we come here to this little blue bar with the little white arrow, and if we click on that, you'll see it gives you a series of options for that response. It gives you a series of options for that multiple choice response. So the first one you see, it's kind of hard to see on the screen, is Allow Text Entry. So if you click on Allow Text Entry, what it's going to do, it's going to put a white box. Again, it's a little bit hard to see on the screen here, but there's a white box that appears. Is there a way to change the screen that people can actually see? Yeah. What you should see here is a white box that appears on screen. Again, I apologize for the quality of the screen here today, but it's kind of hard to see, but there's a white text box that appears below. That's telling respondents to enter in their own answers. All right. Also with the multiple choice question, a couple other things that I want to show you here today. The first thing I want to show you is that how to present your options in a randomized order. That is, every time respondents take the survey, they're going to see the responses that you list for a multiple choice question in a different order. This helps cut down on potential response biases. It also allows the respondents to see to make sure that people just aren't pressing the first one all the time. So it mixes up the order for your respondents. To do that, what you're going to have to do is there's a little purple box here on the left-hand side. If you drag your cursor over to that, you'll see a list of what they call the advanced question options. Under the advanced question options, all the way toward the bottom, there's one that's called randomization. So if you click on randomization, it comes up with the choice randomization options. The first one is no randomization, which is always the default. And next is randomize the order of all choices. Well, we can't randomize the order of all choices here because we have another specify. The whole purpose of another specify is for people to enter in responses that aren't on the list before. We don't want to have that. We want the other specify to be an anchor. That is, we always want that to be the last response option that people see, because we don't want people entering Toyota or Honda into that other response option. That's just going to create more work for us on the back end. So we're going to anchor that always as the very last one. Next, we're going to do present. The next option is present only the blank number of total choices. We don't want that either because we want all the choices to be randomized. We don't want only a certain select small group. So we're going to do the last one, which is advanced randomization. So if you click on that, and then there's a link there that says set up advanced randomization. So if you click on that, it takes you automatically to the advanced randomization. It shows us right now in this box, the fixed display order, the choices in which they currently are programmed in, the order in which we type them in. There's a box over here that says randomized choices. So what you're going to do is you're going to drag these choices over here, telling the program which ones we want to appear randomized. So we want the first 4 to be randomized. So if you click on them, and then just drag them over here, you should see under fixed display order that those 4, we're telling the program these 4 are now going to be displayed every time in a randomized order. Once we've done that, click Save, and click Close. Now, anytime you've done any sort of advanced question options, such as randomization, a little icon should appear here on the left-hand side of the screen. The icon that appears here shows you that randomization has been turned on. And if you drag your cursor over it, you should see a box that pops up that says this question has randomization. Again, randomization is, I think, something worth looking into if you're going to have a list of multiple items. If you only have a list of 2 items, it's not doing it. It's not going to work for you. If you have a sequence to your multiple choice option, like if you're using a Likert scale or something quantifiable, you're not going to want to randomize. But if you have a list, like a laundry list of options for people to choose from, randomization might be in your best interest. All right, any questions about working with multiple choice style questions and what some of the features are? We're going to come back to multiple choice questions toward the end of the demonstration when there are a couple other things when they're tied into the follow-up questions as well. All right, next I want to show you is, I talked about the library at the beginning of the presentation. I want to go back to the library for a minute just to show you how to use the library. To use the library to import questions past questions in from previous surveys into your new question is very easy. All you have to do is, you see here at the bottom of the page, the 2 options. We clicked on the create a new item option. To create a new item, we're going to go ahead and click the copy items from button. That's going to take us to the library. So you see here under libraries, it gives you a listing of all the different libraries you have access to. What I want to show you right now is the Qualtrics library. What some of the features are that exist within the Qualtrics library for your usage. The Qualtrics library, and it's kind of hard to see on the screen, is what they call a global library. There are 204 surveys available, as well as 92 specific questions that you can load in. And it gives you a breakdown of survey versus questions. So if you want to download specific questions, you can do that. Or if you want to cherry pick from different surveys, different questions, you can do that. You can also download entire surveys if you wanted to as well. Here under the survey library, it has it broken down by the different categories of surveys. So you see it, they broke it down in alphabetical order. There's academic research, attention filter, business to business, calendar, all the way down to restaurant, retail, technology, travel, etc. Things to note about the survey library. These items have not been psychometrically tested. These are just basic demographic questions, basic US Census type questions. You're not going to find scientific scales or measures here. What you will find, like I said, are past US Census questions. If you ever wanted the 50 ways to ask gender, it's here. So let me just show you what some of the options are. For example, so let's go to concept test. That's probably not the best one. Let's go demographics. So for example, under demographics, go down for a minute. Let's find the general shopping demographics survey. It has a list here for you of all the questions that exist in the survey here on the left-hand side. Then you can preview them by just dragging your cursor over them. So age, marital status, approximately income, highest level of education, number of children in your household under the age of 18, etc. So you can see example of what some of these items were. If you wanted to import some of these items into your survey, it's very easy to do that. All you have to do is here on the left-hand side, just click on the item. You see this little box here at the bottom, this blue box, this is import entire survey. As soon as we click on a question, that box is going to change to read import or add one question. You want to add another one, add 2 questions. Add yet a third one, add 3 questions. So when we do that, when we're ready to add, when we've added in all the questions we want to add in, let's actually go ahead and add in education and number of children too, just for the heck of it. All right, and we're going to go ahead and add 5 questions. Click on add 5 questions, and then what happens is, voila, all 5 get added in. Now, these are the same exact questions. We can make changes, any edits, any alterations to them we want. Something you should note about when you add in questions from a survey. Let's go back to the first question, the multiple choice question we created. Now if you look here, the very, very top of the page, okay? The first question we created was labeled Q1. This is a numbering system that participants of your survey will not see the numbering. This is something that appears only on the back end of the survey. So when you're programming it in SPSS or Excel or any other data file, this is how your columns are going to be labeled, by whatever is in that box. So if you have a good, what we recommend you do is you rename these boxes to be something a little bit more meaningful for you. And to do that, all you have to do is just type in here something. You have a 10-character limit. We can do something like car type for this. Now, if you notice, that started with Q1. When you import items in from a pre-existing survey, the numbering scheme jumps around a little bit for some reason. Because if we were to create a new item after Q1, whatever we created would have been labeled Q2. Instead, it jumps to Q3, and then it jumps to Q5, Q7, etc. I don't want to call it a glitch, because a glitch implies something negative, but it's something to do with when you import items in from a pre-existing survey, it does not keep your numbering sequence. It gives them sort of like randomized, and it's usually 1 or 2 numbers ahead of what your last number was, and it's usually in like some sort of odd or even numbered sequence. So in this case, it jumped from Q3 to Q5. Again, what you're going to want to do is just relabel these something a little bit more meaningful. Now, if you notice, as we're going through and labeling these, a question that comes up with Qualtrics is, I'm working on a survey, how do I save the survey? You have a couple different options in terms of saving it. If you keep it a close eye over the next few minutes while I go through and label these, you should see in the corner here a little blue box appears that says question saved. Anytime you add a question or change a question, the program automatically saves it for you. So keep an eye on that upper left-hand corner. You'll see that little blue box appear. What also happens too is you can also manually override that by just doing a Control S. Control S also gives you the question save out. So it'll say either or will save it for you. The program automatically saves it for you, but you can also manually do that as well. And then let's do children. Number. All right. So that's what happens when you import items, and these items are going to come in handy for us a little bit later on. All right, what I want to show you now is some of the other question types that you have access to. So I showed you the multiple choice question. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new item. Down here at the bottom, but we're going to go back up to the top, and instead of doing a multiple choice question, we're now going to change it to one of the other 14 different question types that we can play with. So if you click on the green box here versus multiple choice, this allows you to change the type of question. A couple different options I want to bring to your attention. I'm going to show you how to do the text entry option, because I think text entry is very useful, and what some of the other features of the text entry function are. There's also the descriptive text option. The descriptive text option allows you to basically create a block of text in your survey that's not associated with any question. So if you have, for example, if you have instructions regarding a series of questions, the descriptive text comes in handy there, allows you to insert a block of questions in. Allows you to insert some sort of description or some sort of instructions in. A couple other options that are available to you. And you can sort of, what Qualtrics allows you to do is allows you to preview what they look like as well. So before you pick an option. So if you want to do multiple choice, it shows you multiple choice type question. It shows you matrix table. It shows you text entry. And again, if you go under each of these options, it'll show you what some of the other options, some of the types that you have. There are 14 basic question types. There's something like 70-something specific question templates that you can plug in and work with. So for matrix tables, you can do bipolar matrix tables. You can do Likert scales with single answer, Likert scales multiple answer, Likert scales drop-down list, etc. You have a lot to play with. For text entry, you can do single line, multi-line, essay box. You can do forms. I'll show you all those in a second. And just to give you an example, you can do sliding scales. You can do rank orders, side by side, constant sums. There are a couple of these that I don't think anybody at Kane has ever used. Randy said he would give people a prize if somebody was to actually use these. Not to put Randy in the spot, but there's the hotspot, which is where give people an image or some sort of picture, and they click on what they like and what they dislike. And the heat map option, which just allows people to click an area of the image that stands out the most to them. Again, they make these stuff available. I don't know anybody who's ever used them. If you ever have the need to use them sometime, I would love to hear what your experiences were, etc. Let's go and use the text entry for this question type that we're going to work with today. And under the text entry, you have really 4 specific types to play with. But the caveat is this: the text entry options do not differ in terms of the number of characters that they accept. All the text entry options accept the same number of characters, which is unlimited. So you can really type in War and Peace, and you can have your respondents type in War and Peace to the text entry question, and supposedly the program would read it all. The problem with the text entry is that older versions of Excel, and I think, is it 2003 and older, or have specific limits on their cells. That is a number of characters you could have in a cell. What happens in Qualtrics is if you export this to Excel, is each person's response becomes a unique cell within the Excel spreadsheet, because each respondent has their own row and each question has their own column. So, older versions of Excel, you're going to run into character limits. What is it, like 800 and something characters, or 256?
Actually,
No.
I think they jumped about 30,000.
So, if you're exporting to Excel, be aware there are character limits. But what they refer to as the three types of boxes, there's a single line box, the multi-line box, and the essay box just refers to the number of lines that are visible to the respondent on screen. The single line is just that. It's a single line of text that's going to be visible to respondents. The multi-line is approximately 2 to 3 lines of text, and the essay text box, we did this once, is about 6 lines of text. Now, something to note when you're designing your survey here in Qualtrics. Again, I apologize, it's a little hard to see here, but whenever you're working with any of the text entry boxes, there's a little character that appears here in the lower right-hand corner. If you were to click on that character and drag it out, you could make the box bigger yourself. It's a little character that looks like a little inverted triangle. You drag on it, click on it, and drag it out, you can make the box bigger. So for this question, we're just going to do something very easy, please. Please tell us your satisfaction with your car. Something just quick, breezy off the top of my head. Something that warrants having a text box this big. All right. That's how you would load. That's some of the options with the text box. Let me just show you real quick here, and we're going to create another new item, and I'm going to show you again the text option. But this time I'm going to show you the form and talk briefly about how you can use forms, and we go into more detail with this in our advanced session. Randy has actually quite a bit of experience with forms, so if you want to speak for a minute about using forms. And
Some of the experience I've had with forms harder to do here on campus. We used to use forms a lot embedded in some of the webpages. We just wanted to quickly capture some data about the people that came to your website. We get their name, email address, I don't know, maybe I think on the PsyD program website, it was why you were interested in PsyD, if you were interested in attending on the question. Basically, they're building a database of people that they could send surveys or prospective students information about the program. But because of changes in the system here, it's a little harder to do that yourself. But we also did, Maria's been kind of handling the registration for Qualtrics and the other workshops that we do for CPD. But in the past, we always did those with a form. It would be your name, your email, extension, whatever. And it all goes into the spreadsheet, just like Joe was saying. So you can kind of keep track. Like what we see with these registrations, again, we get the spreadsheet. You know, the student or the attendee's name will be there, and then the department email, and then there'll be boxes filled in with which workshops they wish to attend in that time frame that the registration is. There are various improvements that they've done. Then they've added the box where you can change the size. It used to be limited to 3 fixed sizes. They've also added some of the validation to them. And one thing they added is a force response, which they didn't have in the past. One of the workshops we wanted a force set of email that we had to split it into 2 forms. There's mandatory and optional information. Now you can do it by each box.
And we'll show you.
Joe said it evolves, and just a little tidbit of
We will show you at the advanced session how to create a form, show you some examples of past conference registration forms that have been created. We find that tends to be very helpful for people, especially if you're planning any event on campus. It's an easy way to gather information using Qualtrics. It's a safe way of gathering information. A lot of the events that have registration here on campus have used a Qualtrics form in the past, and Randy's been involved with quite a few of those.
Yeah, I've actually been working recently with Ian, the assessment department. They're going to be using Qualtrics to register the January assessment month.
A couple other things about working in the survey I want to show you, just some core basic information. If you ever need to delete a question, I'm going to go ahead and delete this question that I just created here. If you ever need to delete it, what you need to do is just highlight the question, and then you see these sort of 3 buttons that appear on the right-hand side. There's the plus. There are 2 plus buttons, which tell you that to add a question above or add a question below, and the red minus. Just click on the red minus, and that will delete your question. And then if you deleted a question and you need to get it back, there's a trash/unused questions folder here at the very, very bottom of the page. Just click on that, and you'll see the option to restore or permanently delete. A couple of things about the survey I want to show you. Somebody asked me about, is it easy to move questions around? It is very easy to move questions if you need to move questions. So for example, we had this question here at the very bottom of the survey that asked about their satisfaction with their car. The first question asks about their car type. We want to ask about their satisfaction with the car. We want to move that question up. It's very easy to do. Just make sure the question is highlighted in that sort of light gray tint or shading to it. And you'll see these little plus or down arrows that appear on the left-hand side. Just click those up until you get the survey to where you want it to go. All right, what I want to show you next is after you've created your survey, is there any questions about how to create a survey and what some of your options are? All right, what I want to show you next is really how to preview before you launch or get your survey distributed. What you need to do is, it's always recommended that you preview your survey before it goes out. This allows you to catch any errors, any typos, any spelling mistakes, etc. And it also allows you to check out your programming. What I want to do before I do that, though, is I've said at the beginning I want to show you what a request response looks like. I'm going to add a request response to the age question, so that when we're inside the preview mode, you can see what the forced response versus the request response fields look like. All right, so to preview your survey is very easy. Just click on the Preview Survey tab, and what it does, it opens in a new window for you a copy of your survey in preview mode. Pretty much anything below this solid blue line here at the top of the page, anything below is what respondents will see. Every survey that goes out is embedded with the Kane logo on it, and it also has the Kane colors. If you wanted to change the logo, add your own logo, add a departmental logo, etc., we show you how to do that at the advanced session. So see, this allows you to look at your survey in preview mode, to test it, to make sure it looks good. We're going to go ahead and actually take the survey a couple times so we have some data to look at when it gets to looking at the results. The thing about the survey preview that I want to share with you, since it opens up in its own window, you can share the survey preview with anybody you want by just copying the address that appears, copying and pasting that into an email and sending to somebody. They don't have to have a Qualtrics account. They can be student workers in your department. They can be your grad assistant. They can be whoever. Copy and paste it, put it in an email, and send it to them. And that's an active live link. They click on that link. They will see the survey in preview mode. So for this, I'm going to take the survey just a couple quick times, just so we have something to play with. Click here to start over. Take the survey again. You see this time the car manufacturer type is in a different order. GM. Actually, we're going to skip age. This is what we mean by the request response. It's a nice, gentle. There's one unanswered question on this page. Would you like to continue? You have the choice of answering the question or continue without answering. We're going to answer the question. It's back, and it highlights the question for you. Again, I apologize, it's hard to see on the screen. It highlights it for you in like a little yellow shading so you know exactly what question you need to answer. Okay. And click the board button. Voila. Here to start over. We're going to skip the first question. And this is what we mean by a forced response. You cannot answer until moving on. GM. And voila. Click here to start over. All right, so we're good with that. We're going to click out of the, all we have to do is close the window up. Takes it back to the survey. If we need to make any changes, we can make them now, save them, and do the whole process all over again. All right, any questions about previewing your survey? All right, in the time remaining, what I want to do is go over two remaining important functions: how to distribute your survey and how to look at your results. Looking at results actually will take more time than distributing the survey. Distributing your survey, I'm going to show you a couple quick ways to do it. There's a more advanced way of doing it involving panels that I'm going to talk about today, but actually you need to come to the advanced session to get the information about how to work with the panel feature as well. Because it takes more time than we have time. It takes up more time than actually we have left today. But I will talk about it and give you an idea of how the panel function works. To launch your survey, once you're ready to do it, all you have to do is click on the Distribute Survey tab or click on the Launch Survey icon. Either or will take you to the same place. And it tells you right now your survey is not active. You need to activate your survey in order to collect responses. So if you click on that, Activate Survey, it's activating the survey, and it tells us now it was activated at 11:04 a.m. on September 17th. And what it gives you is, it gives you right now your anonymous survey link. The anonymous survey link is probably the quickest and easiest way to distribute your survey. All you have to do is take this link, copy and paste it, put it into an email, put it on a website, put it on Blackboard. Respondents can access your survey, no problem. The issue here with the anonymous survey link is as follows. Anonymous survey link is just that. It's completely, entirely anonymous, which is great. But you have no way of keeping track of how many people that you sent the survey to actually completed it. You don't have a way of reminding people who didn't complete it to complete it, and you don't have a steadfast way of reminding people who stopped or paused the survey to go back in and complete it as well. Anonymous survey link, you just copy and paste it, put in an email, and send it out, which is great. The other downside of the anonymous survey link is you can't email too many people at one time using the anonymous survey link. If you start to send out emails to 50, 60, 75 people in one shot from Arcane servers, you're likely going to get tagged as a spam account. Same thing if you try sending it from your personal email, like a Yahoo MSN. Their browsers are also very sensitive now to spam accounts. And you start sending it out to like a bunch of people at one time, odds are your email account might get shut down. There are ways around that. Obviously, sending it out to a few people at one time, that might help you. But your best bet, if you're going to be doing 100 to 200 or more people that you want to survey, your best bet is doing the panel function. And what I want to do today is just talk briefly about the panel function to give you an idea of how it works. And then at the advanced session, we have a handout for it. We spend quite a bit of time on it. The panel function allows you to really keep track of your survey. It allows you to keep track of how many people have started, how many people have finished, how many incompletes there are. With the panel function, what you basically do is you enter into the system an Excel spreadsheet that has respondents' first names, last names, and their email addresses. You then upload that function into Qualtrics. Qualtrics will then read the panel and send out, it'll create for each email address its own unique its own unique URL. And the system therefore keeps track of who your users are. If you're doing survey research or research that's been IRB approved, it's not in your best interest. You're not going to be able to do the panel function. Because of that, you lose the anonymity feature. But if you're doing some sort of general research that isn't IRB approved, or general research that in which it's okay to lose the anonymity, if you want to survey your alumni for an internal purposes or whatever, you can do that with the panel function. The panel function also allows you to personalize the emails. So you send out, it'll send out, what it'll do for you, it'll send out, if you're sending out 200 emails, it'll send them all out from the Qualtrics server. It'll look like it's coming from your email account, but it won't be coming off of our servers here. Instead, it'll be coming off the Qualtrics servers. The benefit, the upside of that is you can send out up to, I think it's like 9,000 in one shot using the Qualtrics servers. If you try to send out 9,000 from our campus servers, odds are OSIS and just about everybody on campus would be pretty ticked off at you because it would probably crash the servers. Qualtrics servers, they can handle that kind of traffic, so you can distribute the survey off of their servers. Like I said, you can personalize the emails, and it keeps track of each unique URL, lets you know how many people completed, how many people stopped, the average completion time, etc. It's a really useful function. It's really good for keeping track of it. Like I said, we go into a lot of detail because there's a lot of steps involved in uploading and getting everything set in the system. Unfortunately, we don't have time for it in the intro session. I preview it and talk about it as something we're going to do in the advanced session. So I recommend that you try to make it to an advanced session. If you can't make it to an advanced session, let Randy or myself know. And we'd be willing to sit down with you and go over it. So like I said, the easy, quick and dirtiest way is the anonymous survey link. You can do that. If you needed a customized link, you can do that as well. There's an option here to customize the link. And what it does, it allows you to change the text or the physical appearance of the link. But people always seem to forget that you can change the text here. So if we want to change this to read, "Please take my survey." People tend to forget they just copy and paste what's in here. That's not going to do it. You need to copy and paste what's going to be here under the HTML link. The request has also come up if people wanted to shorten the survey link, because if you take a look at the link they give you, in Qualtrics it's a long anonymous link. You need to go to an external program like a tiny URL, or what's the other one? One of those programs will help you shorten the long URL like that, so that if you wanted to put it on a flyer or a bulletin board somewhere, you could do that. With the survey option, if you wanted to send out a survey directly from Qualtrics, you can do that. You can specify, you can enter in the email addresses here of the people you wanted to send it to. If you're only sending out to a few and you want Qualtrics to do it for you, you can do that as well by entering their email addresses here and then typing in the message down below that you want. It automatically loads in the links for you. All right, any questions about how to distribute your survey? There are a couple other features that they have here. For example, they still use pop-ups for some reason. I don't know anybody who still uses pop-ups, but if you wanted to have your survey annoy people and possibly have them not take it, you can use the pop-up function. The other function it has here, which it's relatively new, it's within the past 6 months or so, is the social media link. But they have, if you wanted to post your survey on Twitter to conform to the character limits on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, etc., you could do that here.
My experimentation
Yeah. Yeah, it allows you just to post a link, that's all. And it'll shorten the link for you, I believe, somewhat. Like I said, to conform to the limitations. Those are some of the options in terms of distributing your survey. Are there any questions about survey survey distribution. All right, the last thing I want to talk to you about today is how to look at your results in the Qualtrics program. Something that I think is very important to know, and it's something that I think is probably the second most valuable thing that I'll talk to you about today, other than how to create a survey. Once you create your survey and actually get your results, you need to look at your data. And there are a couple different ways of looking at your results within the Qualtrics program. The quickest, simplest way is if you just go to the View Results tab, and at the top here, there's a View Reports button. If you click on that, Qualtrics generates reports for all of its use for any time you create a survey. Anytime you create a survey, automatically it creates a report for you. What a report is, if you click on Initial Report, it's just a frequency readout of all the questions in your survey. So it tells you how people, basically gives you a snapshot picture of how people responded to the items in your survey. So for example, for the first question, it gives you a table. It lists the question, and then it lists out all the answers and how many people responded and what the corresponding percentage was. It gives you a core frequency readout for you of all the of how people responded. With Qualtrics, it gives you this little table. If you wanted to add a graph to that, you can easily add a graph by clicking. There's a little button here at the top that says Add Graph. If you click that, it automatically generates a column table for you, but you can also do bar graphs, you can do pie charts, you can do different three-dimensional line images as well. With the graphs, what you can do with your report, and this is for every single question. So for example, for an open-end question, what it does, it gives you a readout of what each of the open-end responses are. For age, it's going to show us, again, the same thing. And it does this for every single question. You want to add graphs, you can add graphs, you can add another table if you wanted to, etc. It's listing out every single question how people responded. A couple things about the report that you should know. This is, like I said, probably the quickest and easiest way to get your results in Qualtrics. You can export your report directly to Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, or as a PDF file. It just takes a PDF of the Word document. A couple things to note about the report. It does generate these graphs for you, but you cannot directly import these graphs into PowerPoint. What it does, it imports it for you as an image file instead. With image file in PowerPoint, you can't make any alterations or changes to it. So what we recommend you do is export your graph first to Excel, make the changes that you want to make in Excel, and then export that into PowerPoint. Exporting directly from Qualtrics into PowerPoint is not recommended because it does everything as like a snapshot for you. You can't make any changes or alterations. But like I said, Word or Excel is probably your best bet for that. The other thing about the report that it gives you here in Qualtrics is if you have an open-end question like this, if you have, say, 250 responses, sometimes Qualtrics will only show the first 100 or so. It'll have a warning next to it saying in order to see the full responses, you have to export to either Word, Excel, or some other program. But if you're just working in Qualtrics just to get a snapshot, it's fine. But to get the full data for your open-ended questions, if you're going to have more than a couple hundred, you're going to have to export it. The thing about the reports that I like is that it's pretty easy to use, and you can do some basic data manipulation right in the report. You don't have to go to Excel. You don't have to go to SPSS. I'll show you in a minute how to go to those programs. But if you wanted just to do some basic data manipulations in Qualtrics, you can do that. What Qualtrics allows you to do, it allows you to look at data by subgroups. So you can run filters within your report. So for example, if we wanted to look at the data, right now we have the data representing everybody. We only have 3 responses, but still, nonetheless, it's everybody. Suppose we wanted to take a look at the data for those people who drive GM vehicles. We can specify here within the subgroup function that we only want to look at people who responded to question 1 that they drive a GM vehicle. So we click on here, add a subgroup to this report, and it's set up as a series of if-then questions. So if we specify question, And we're going to specify as the first question, what type of car do you drive? And we're going to specify the choice, GM, is selected. All right? So if they drive a GM, we're going to apply the changes, and now we're going to run the filter. So the only data that's shown in the report now is data for those people who drive GM vehicles. So if you scroll down to our graph, we see only GM, only GM. People who drive GM tend to have cars that run too loud and have bad batteries. They range from 25 to 54. They're married, etc. So it does a data cut for us by only those people who have GM. With this, you could, if you wanted to add another feature to the subgroup. So people who drive GMs and are age 25 to 34. We can apply those changes. So we go back, there's only one respondent. Their car runs too loud. They're 25 to 34, married. They make between $25,000 and $50,000 a year, etc. So you can do different level of data cuts within the program without going to one of the other external programs. And to remove the subgroup, all you have to do is there's a little button there that says remove subgroup, red button. Click on that. It'll take it away and it will store your data to its original form. All right. The other thing I want to show you in terms of looking at your data is if you go to download data, this is where you can get the Excel spreadsheet of your data file or your SPSS spreadsheet. To get your SPSS spreadsheet is very easy. Just click on Download SPSS File. Click on that, and it'll download to your desktop, as long as you have access to SPSS, a brand new SPSS file. The thing about working in SPSS, those of you who plan to work in it, is pay close attention to your data labels. That is how your questions are labeled. If you, for example, if you wanted your questions 0 to 4 on a 5-point scale, sometimes SPSS will automatically recode them 1 to 5. So just make note of that and make sure that the labels that you have that the data labels that you have imported, that you have in your survey, make sure that they imported correctly to SPSS. And with SPSS, that's the only manipulation you might need to worry about. It does everything for you directly. Downloads everything. There's no further setup on your end. With Excel, what we recommend are a couple things. First of all, it doesn't automatically load it. It doesn't download an automatic Excel spreadsheet for you. Instead, what it downloads is what they call a CSV file, which stands for comma separated values. Sometimes you see it listed as comma delimited. It's basically a text-only version of Excel that's read by Excel. You won't notice any real difference if you download it, but just know that you're downloading a CSV file, not an Excel spreadsheet. When you download the Excel spreadsheet, something to note, like I said, the column, it doesn't have that nice feature that SPSS has in terms of doing data labels. So your columns are going to be labeled whatever they were labeled back in the survey. Remember, in an Excel spreadsheet, each question is its own column, and each response is its own row. With the Excel spreadsheet, what we recommend you do, because there is no data label sheet. There's an option here that says representation, answers as labels. We recommend you select that, because instead of putting a 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll put what that 1, 2, 3, or 4 represents for you. And with the download, either format, you can download it directly. You can download it in 8 hours from now. You can download it whenever. You have the choice of selecting the download. Likewise, if you want to download it as a zip file, which is the default that it does, it'll download a zip file to your desktop, and then you just save it. Or if you wanted to be notified by email, you could do that. You could do that function as well. All right. Any questions about how to distribute a survey? The very last thing I want to do with you today is show you how to collaborate your survey. So we're going to go back to the My Surveys page, and we're going to find today's survey in our list of surveys, our September 17th survey. There we go. September 17th, it's still underlined for us. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the collaborate function. Here. This pops up the September 17th survey. We're going to type in this box where it says type username or email. I'm going to go ahead and share it with Randy. So you start to type in his username, email, and some other response options should come up here. Randy's is the second one. We're going to click on that, and then we're going to click Add. And it imports it down here to the bottom. Now, under the collaboration function, there are different degrees to which you can collaborate the survey. So for example, for the editing function, if you click on details, it'll show you there's approximately 13 different ways to which you can collaborate a survey. Different functions you can share with them. Most people, if you just click the box next to details, it'll share all of them with them. But if you wanted to cherry pick which ones to go for, just unclick the details and you can select them one by one. So for example, if we wanted to share this but not allow him to use skip logic or allow him to use triggers or allow him to copy survey questions, we can do that. Same thing with viewing of results. We click on view results, details. Again, there's 7 different options to play with, 7 different functions. If you just click the details, you can share all 7. But if we wanted to, give Randy the option to not be able to edit survey results, we'll make sure that that one does not get clicked. So you can set the degree in which you want to collaborate. All right, then click Save, and then voila, it's been collaborated with Randy. And it should appear on his My Surveys page. All right, any questions about anything that we've gone over the past hour, 20 minutes, hour, 45 minutes or so? All right, for those people who didn't get their accounts or need help setting up their accounts, just stick behind for a second. Randy and I will help you. If not, thanks for coming out today. We hope to see you in an advanced session. If you have any questions, please let us know.